joined with Corey Diaz from Anfield Energy. Corey, thanks for sitting down with us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start off talking about uranium. It's been a bit of a rough couple of months, we'll say, for uranium, which had a really strong 2023, 2024, and 2025 seems to be a little bit rough here. What's your read on the uranium market right now? What's going through your head?
I think nothing goes straight up, right? So there tends to be volatility in most markets. Pick a commodity and you'll see some kind of volatility. That said, I think there's just a lot of uncertainty in the market in terms of where supply going to come from, what kind of demand do we expect going forward, what the impact of tariffs would be on the potential of product coming into the U.S. or being sold throughout the world. So I think there are a number of different factors. I think it's just uncertainty is playing a big role in the uranium sector.
So there's been a whole bunch of stuff happen with Anfield since we last spoke. There was a deal with ISO Energy. Maybe walk our audience through sort of what's happened over the last, say, year with the company.
Sure. So we did have a transaction in place with ISO Energy. Unfortunately, we couldn't get final approval from the BC courts. We did look at the potential of an appeal, but it didn't feel like ISO was willing to move forward on the appeal. We did have a secondary offer from ISO with regard to transacting in a few of our assets, and it didn't make sense for us to move forward in that regard, especially because we had the opportunity to work with UEC, an existing shareholder, to advance the assets on our own. And so, I think from our perspective, we thought that the original transaction made a lot of sense for us and for our shareholders, and our shareholders agreed because they voted for it. That said, the secondary offer that was put in place, it was certainly inferior to what was on offer from UEC. And to be honest, I think UEC has been a really good shareholder to Anfield over the years and understands the company strategy and is willing to step up and put money in at a premium into the company in order to facilitate a path forward, and is very supportive of us moving to a NASDAQ listing, and that's our next big step.
So my assumption here is you have a lot of conversations with Amir from UEC. What is it that really is driving his interest or line of thinking? Is it the permitted mill?
I think Amir is a very smart man. I think he sees the value in the mill, the scarcity value of the mill. He just bought a mill, right? So there are only 3 of them in the U.S. He owns one, Energy Fuels owns one, and we own one. And now he's got access to not only his ISR properties, but also access to indirect investment, of Shooter and Canyon Mill. So I think it also, just from a broader UEC scope, we have done transactions in the past with UEC, swapping out our ISR assets for the Slick Rock property, the Hard Rock asset, which is part of our primary production plan. And there are other assets within UEC's portfolio, which, in my view, would make sense within an Anfield portfolio because they're Hard Rock assets. So the idea of creating a Hard Rock opportunity, UEC as an indirect investor in the company, it certainly provides, it provides access once again to UEC to complement its ISR production plans.
Okay, so now you guys obviously got some money to play with. What's the goal with the cash that you guys have on the balance sheet? How do you guys plan to deploy that?
Well, we've got a number of initiatives that we're working on today. Obviously, we're moving the mill forward. We've had the application for restart in with the state of Utah for a number of months. That is progressing. We're also looking to move Slick Rock forward. We just finished the verification drilling at the end of last year. The idea here is to upgrade the resource as an inferred resource, move some of the resource from inferred to indicated, potentially look at the expansion of the size of the resource, but also ultimately get us a plan of operations for Slick Rock this year with a large mine permit in 2026. On the Velvet Wood side, we hope to see the plan of operations in the next couple of months, after which we'll be pursuing a large mine permit on that property. The mill also, because we have a license there, we have the ability to do some demolition work, clear out some of the pieces of the mill that we won't be using and prepare it for an anticipation of getting the license approval done by the end of this year, early next year, we could start construction at the mill.
So let's look at 2025 here. I'm an investor in Anfield, which I am, but if I'm also just watching it as someone who's doing their due diligence and wants to sort of follow the progress of the company, what's the three main priorities here for 2025 that you want to see the company accomplish?
I think the first and foremost is the NASDAQ listing. That provides us with access to a larger pool of capital and essentially a U.S. domestic pool of capital that we don't have access to today. We look at the companies that have listed on the U.S. and their trading liquidity has gone up, the market cap's gone up, and certainly that allows us to do significant raises going forward in order to refurbish the mill. So I think that's kind of the point one. The second thing is the plan of operations and moving towards a large mine permit with Velvet Wood, because that allows us to get the mine in place, roughly 6 months ahead of us looking to start production through the mill. And the idea is to move Slick Rock forward. It's probably about one iteration behind. We're looking at the plan of operations done by the end of the year with a large mine permit next year, and then be in a position for that mine to be ready to provide material to Shooting Canyon Mill. And later this year, we expect to see some advancement on the side of the reactivation part. The state, we've been working and we're expecting some requests for further information from the state in the coming months. And that hopefully will lead to the approval of the application by the end of 2025 or first quarter of 2026. That's our hope.
All right, well, Corey, thanks very much for hopping on here. It's always a pleasure when we get to catch up. I know that you are one of the names that our audience absolutely loves when we have you on. So let's continue to chat over the coming quarters as you guys continue to roll out on those big goals for the year.
Great. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.